I know Cameron goes by they, them. I don't even know what he is. I don't care
Well,
if it's a he. I don't care if it's a she.
According to the chat, 71% think it's a boy. It's more of a, isn't it curious how every time there's someone that's saying unhinged rants that it's always the same androgynous, what are they? Why do they have a nose ring? And what are they even thinking right now? Like, what's even happening? How would they have a position where they have a podium and a voice and the things they're saying has some sort of influence over people? It's like, how is this happening?
Yeah. And this, to explain it for people who kind of even watching the video, you can kind of miss it.
Which, by the way, real quick to interrupt you, sorry.
Okay.
I watched the video and I missed it until the end because he lost me in just the droning on. And I'm just like, I'm bored. I have no idea what he's saying. I don't care anymore. Like, what's he even saying?
There's a reason we left that in, is because we didn't want anybody to be able to say, well, you put that in context.
Yep,
so it's like, no, we're going to leave the context in so you see exactly what's happening. So he's describing a scenario where literally he was basically, the developers even say like, oh, we're happy to work with you. Look, I don't know who it was, but they were happy to work with them.
Let me play it here, and I'm going to try to actually listen this time because the first time I almost fell asleep to how boring.
I don't blame you. That's why I put it at the end. I wanted people to kind of get our breakdown and then be like, oh, is that what they said? Oh, it is what he said.
Which is funny because that's exactly what happened when I watched it. I'm like, what did he?
I thought ahead. That's the therapist mind for you.
That's smart.
And definitely there have been moments.
And just want to clarify, I don't know if you noticed, it's from 2025. This is not from a couple years ago.
I did see that
this year.
Right. Yep. Which, anyways, yeah, that's a whole nother.
I can think of one in particular. Don't need to get into the specifics of the game, but it was a situation where
real quick, while this person's droning on, could you imagine working side by side with someone like this and how boring and weird it must be to interact with this person on a daily basis and to be like, yikes, this is what I have to work with?
I'll put it this way. Kim always likes to say, oh, we do all these, like, we have all these we have like at the group of like 12 people, she claims. It's actually more than that. It's 16 actually, but they're actually even more than 16. So there's a couple that they don't want talking about.
The identity of the characters was fairly important that we get it right. And in this situation, we actually had to have a more...
So wait, there are cuts in this, but you did not cut this, correct?
I did cut it, and I'll explain why. Because Cameron, I'm assuming, doesn't publicly speak very often, and for some reason decides to add extra ums and dead air for like, literally, I'm talking like not even like for
10
a couple seconds. It's like, so imagine this, but with tons more ums. If everybody really wants me to, I can upload the cut, but it's so bad. It's just, so we did this, and then we went to do that, and then empty air, and it's just like, okay, I'd really just rather not have this in the video, so I'm just gonna cut those parts out. And if someone gets mad, like, I really don't think they're gonna get that mad.
Really foundational conversation about these are some of the experiences that you are necessarily going to invoke, or some of the messages that you are going to invoke, some of the implications you are going to invoke, regardless of whether you want to or not. It's not a question of like, are you doing it well, or are you doing it badly? It's just, it's there. And so here are the options for how that could go. And this was a pretty, I would say, like, unique situation where they were willing to take days out of their time to talk with us about it. And I think in that situation,
he said, or he, she, I'm going to interchange them. And it's quite frankly, not because I'm trying to be nice. I honestly don't care. Cameron said that, they were willing to work with us. So it wasn't even a situation where it was like, oh, they were like against us, whatever. Like, these people were like, okay, we actually want to hire you. And look, whatever the reason they decided to hire CAB Inc., I'm not going to dig into that. That's whatever these people decided. But the point is, they were willing to do this, and they were willing to actually like sit down and have them like explain it to them. And what Cameron says is, oh no, I don't have to explain it to you. I'm marginalized. And this is what you're going to be bringing up by doing what you're doing. And I don't think it's okay. And then when they said that, the studio's like, well, we don't entirely agree. And then again, that's not exactly what's said in the clip, but that's what is implied, is that it was a less than optimal response. So I'm assuming it wasn't a flat out like, no, we don't agree with you. But it was kind of a, we don't really see you eye to eye. And then Cameron says, and then I had to say it again and again and again. And it's like, wait a minute. So you didn't like even try to like talk to them? You didn't even try to go, hey, like, can we meet halfway here? I want to see what you're going at here. It doesn't happen.
Right. But they will use the marginalized person as basically like the way the race card used to get used, where it's like, oh, because I'm black. Now it's, oh, because I'm marginalized.
It's like, oh, we're going to be special snowflakes, and we get to determine what you get to like or don't like. And it's like, but why? Well, I'm marginalized. I'm this. It's like, okay, congratulations. Did you want a medal? Like, I don't have to listen to you. We hired you to come in here to help us. So you literally have to, do what they want. Not the other way around. You don't get to go, oh, no, you need to do what I want. You're again, keep in mind, even though we know this is BS, Sweet Baby Inc. says that they're a narrative consulting. Last I checked, narrative consulting does not mean, oh, you do what I want. It's a no. We talk with you. And then look, I think that
no. Not just we talk with you. We give you an idea. You can reject it if you want.
Exactly. What Cameron's saying is, I did not like having to be so vulnerable, and I shouldn't have needed to. I should have been able to just tell you, no, don't do this. I'm marginalized. Listen to me. And you should have just gone, oh, yes, Cameron, we'll do exactly as you say. And they didn't do it. So I had to be extra vulnerable, and I regret. That's the only thing Cameron regrets here, is having to be vulnerable.
Well, that's part of the cosplay of their machine, where it's, oh, I have to be, that's part of who I am. I have to be vulnerable. That's what they push their message. Oh, we're marginalized. We're vulnerable people. That they're one and the same. They can't lose that part of it, because then that loses the leverage that they have in their arguments.
Yep, exactly.
You're willing to die on, and which, maybe you would rather not. I think that really will serve you well, and get very specific about your priorities. Be willing to let.
I see all these cuts, by the way, now that you mention it. It's like the
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
this would have been like, I kid you not, this was a 2-minute and 7-second clip of Cameron. Let me check. I have it still on my desktop. Let me see how long it was before I cut out all the ums. I think it was about 4 minutes long.
Dude, this is 2 minutes and 10 seconds. You cut it in half.
I cut out the dead air and the weird gesturing for no reason and staring around and the and the like, literally I cut out no context here. Like, you could even hear at one point right before he's saying, like, the Cameron's saying what's it called? He's saying I got a less than optimal response. Right around that time, you can hear some of the ums that I left in for effect.
Yep.
But that's literally the entire thing. Like, every other word is dead air, And I think that we've talked about this before, but this is what really makes me think that these people are being paid by somebody. And it's not crazy to say, but the thing is, I'll be completely honest, and I'm going to give her some credit for this. Kim does a really good job at presenting when she has a script. When she doesn't, she either pretends the audio is being distinct, like in that one we had, which was hilarious.
That was hilarious.
Or she just doesn't know what she's saying and gives, like at the GDC panel.
And
what does she say? Word salad.
Word salad, and then says really dumb things where it's like, if you had a PR manager, they'd be over there being like, eesh, don't say that. But I think this fantastic clip just exposes just how useless these people are. This is such a useless 2 minutes of nonsense. What the fuck do they even contribute? What is this?
They look, I'll be honest here. Maybe this will be kind of controversial. I'll kind of explain this. I think, again, it's going to sound crazy to say this. I think in an ideal world, and I say ideal, this consultant thing could be a great thing. It could. The problem is it's been weaponized to push a message, and so it's become this tool to bludgeon people and gamers over the head with agenda rather than create great stories. Imagine for a minute if we had a consulting group that all they did was help build your story, not change it to suit an agenda, but helped build it. So they went, hey, we noticed you're doing something on African history. Did you know this myth in African history? Did you know this? Can we bring this in? Is this something that can help you? That would be amazing. We'd have such richer stories. Good example, I think that Assassin's Creed Shadows could have done really well with some, I don't know, Japanese consultants, maybe? Just throwing it out there.
Well, according to Ubisoft, they had that, but one of the Japanese consultants was very questionable with her.
Loxley, right?
No. The girl that wrote the books that were...
Oh, yeah, about the gender.
Yeah. I'm like, that's the Japanese consultant they got? What the hell?
That's not a consultant. Again, that's the thing, is that it's become this tool and people can just kind of get in. And again, if these people had their way, we'd have a lot more of this. I know this is going to sound strange. We should actually count ourselves lucky that these people are stumbling over themselves, because more and more people are waking up to this, and more people are doing things that are not just like, oh, we don't want this, but are anti this. And I'm not saying that you should just open your wallet and give money to anybody who's anti this stuff. No, you should always make decisions with your money. If you decide to buy something that happens to be involved with Sweet Baby Inc., that's your choice. I'm not going to do it, but it's your choice. I always think that's the case. That's your money. But we always should we should always raise up people who are willing to take a stand. That does not mean you have to, as I said, open your wallet and dump a bunch of money on them. But people who are willing to do that, it is not a popular thing. It sounds weird. You think it's like a majority, like gamers are bigger than this minority. But the problem is gamers are not being appealed to anymore. It's not a thing about that. There are very rare where it's like, we made this game for you. It's now we made this game to lecture you about what we think you should be. And if you don't like that, well, then you're just bigots and racist and sexist, and we're going to throw a bunch of buzzwords at you and hope you go away. It doesn't work, but they try it.
But to your point about the consultancies in a utopia, if you will, a perfect world, I agree with you. But the premise of that needing to be the case is ironically no different than communism. In a perfect world, I guess theoretically, maybe you could get communism to kind of maybe work. I don't necessarily agree that, by the way. I'm just saying the way that these people think, that's what it is, and they think they can get there. And I think that by default defeats the entire argument, because the world is not perfect. And
you're right.
And if you need it to be perfect for something to be successful, do not do what you're trying to do, because it's self-defeating in the premise of it.
If you just had someone there to say, hey, what? You want to make your game with Yasuke as the main character? Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we put him as a side character. Maybe we make a chapter where you play as Yasuke and it ties into the story, and you honor it but move away, like something like that.
Let me jump in to add on to that, because I think you're onto something. And ironically, it's almost self-defeating with the maturity that the industry has reached, that we're in. The game industry is in a mature cycle right now, like the portion of the cycle it's matured. So the company sizes have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and more of these problems are slipping through the cracks, we'll say. Whereas if you have, we'll say in the 90s or even the early 2000s, a small team of like 12 to 18 to 28 people to maybe 45 people even, every single one of those people have a very vital job, depending on the size of the game that they're working on, to make sure, and a vested interest to ensure the success of the game. Whereas that's changed now. The dynamic has changed where money coming in from other sources, it doesn't necessarily mean the game has to be successful. If they're getting paid before the game even launches, then it's not about the money, it's about the message. And
exactly.
The dynamic has changed.
The idea is we want to share our unique experiences. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I'll give you
that.
It's
the way they're doing it that's wrong.
Yeah.
Concerned
I think
Ape didn't do it to make money. He did it to just make a great game, and it blew up.
But to counter that, I'd say they probably realized early on that just having an idea to push their own, I have a cool story I could share, isn't enough.
Exactly.
So because of that, they got to start using other tactics. And it's like, no, if it's not enough, maybe that's the market telling you, get out.
That's the thing, is that Sweet Baby Inc. and these companies go with, they want to share their experience. Other people who make good games want to share an experience. They want to share their experience, not as a person. Yeah, some of that comes in every game, but they want to put in their experience playing games. They want to share with you the love of those kinds of things. Those people are rare these days.
Well, I'd agree with that. But just to add on to that, I think the game industry being in the mature state that it is, it would explain why there are people joining in that are, we'll just say, a different mentality that has not existed in the game space before because it wasn't sustainable before. But these people come in with the ideology of desperately wanting to see themselves, which is really strange, because for me as a gamer, I would never approach a game being like, I don't see myself in this game, I don't want to play it. Like that, you live vicariously through the character you play as. You don't expect the character to live through you. You know what I mean? It's a different.
Yeah, it's not just in gaming. It's also in media. It's, I need to see myself on screen in order to relate. And it's like, no, you don't. And I love when they self-own themselves. One of the ones I love, and this is, I'm going to bring her up because it's funny. Rachel Ziegler. I don't know if you saw that she like owned herself towards the beginning. I don't know if you saw what that happened. She posted pictures of herself dressed up when she was younger as Snow White. And it's like, oh, so you were able to see yourself as Snow White, even though she didn't match your skin color. But now we have to be okay with a Snow White that doesn't match because that's okay, right? But you were fine with it. What gives?
That perfectly disproves the ideology right there.
Exactly.
Wow. That's wild.
And then being met with a less than optimal response to that, and then having to say it again, and then again and again, and then having to say it again, and then again and again.
Having to say it again and again and again. Think about that. I was met with a response I didn't like, and instead of doing, hey, I don't like this, let's talk about it, it was, you're wrong. Well, we don't agree. Well, you're still wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Okay, fine. We'll do what you say.
Yep. Just here, take money and do this, and we don't even care. We're not going to listen to you anyway, but just go away. Exactly.
Well, because they were willing. That's the saddest part, is this company was willing to work with them. Like, it even said they were. I don't know who the company is. I've looked into it. I cannot figure out who the company is. But they were willing to work with them. And look, misguided, sure, but that's the thing, is that this company was willing to work with them, listen to them, and then they were like, oh, we don't agree with you on this. Isn't consulting companies supposed to just help with that? Hey, why don't you agree with us? Let's try to see eye to eye. Let's talk. And it's like, no, we can't talk about it. I'm marginalized. I'm going to be more vulnerable and tell you how terrible you are for not doing this. And I'm going to keep doing it over and over until you do what I want.